Hello everyone and welcome to one of the first videos I'm filming here for Bookmas. So we're kicking off with a book haul. These are books I accumulated over the past months. And yeah, as you see, there's quite a stack. There's different things in there, non-fiction, fiction. So I'm excited to get into them. But let's start with the non-fiction ones. And actually, I have quite a few on race because I accumulated these as the bookstore got them in after really like the summer when everything was kind of sold out because of what was happening in the US, what is still happening in the US with the Black Lives Matter. So there were these particular books I wanted to pick up and I just couldn't find them. So as they restocked, I just purchased them. So I have quite a few here. And I think the two most known ones, or the ones which are kind of, I guess, mentioned over and over again, is White Fragility and White Rage. So I don't want to talk a lot about these because I think these are pretty known by now. The next one is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I really heard a lot about this on BookTube and I think it's highly praised and a really impactful one because it is one a lot of people can, I think, connect to on a personal level because it is also a very personal story, but also one which looks at really, again, key historic points in the US, looks at racism, looks at segregation, looks at slavery. In this one, the author kind of tells his son and answers questions his son might ask growing up in a black body. So I think from that point of view, it's really personal to the author. And I think it's also kind of heartbreaking. I think it will be a great one, so I can't wait to get to this one. The next one I have is also on race, but this is focused on the UK. So it is Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire by Akala. So this is kind of autobiographical, where the author looks at his own past, living with a white mother, confronting racism, growing up, being searched by the police. And it looks at race and it looks at the British Empire and its past and how kind of racism is kind of denied sometimes in the UK, and looks at his own experiences. So I think this is going to be interesting also because it is, again, a UK perspective, and all the books I kind of read on the subject are from the US. So it's really interesting to get another perspective on this. Then I have two more nonfiction books and then I think I'm going to be done with purchasing and just focusing so much on nonfiction. I know this year has been really heavy on nonfiction for me because I don't know, I just felt the need for it, but I think I kind of reaching a saturation point soon. So I'm going to scale down on the nonfiction books I have on the go, because now I have kind of several and it's really slowing my reading. So I think moving forward, I'm just going to read one a month or something like that. So I have plenty to choose from, so I think I'm good. But the first one is one I've never ever heard of. Extreme Economies, What Life at the World's Margins Can Teach Us About Our Own Future by Richard Davies. So I've seen this at the bookstore and I was immediately fascinated by the title. And when I read a little bit on the back, and it was like, really, I have to pick this up. And I think this one would tie in greatly with the nonfiction book I'm currently reading. That one is set in the US and it is about this increasingly large group of people living out of vans and RVs and campers, or what you call them, all kinds of vehicles which kind of became their homes because they lost all their savings, their job after the financial crisis, and they live kind of nomadic lifestyle. So I would say that group is also kind of living on the fringes of normal society, not so much from an economic point of view, because I think this really looks at the extreme. It looks at different places from the world, and then at these communities which really are at the fringe of society. So I'm trying to show you this map, which includes, places from the whole world: Asia, South America, North America, Europe, and Africa as well. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see and know and learn about these communities, especially because they are so diverse, and what makes them so unique, and what makes them so separate from normal society. Like, yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't know a lot about it, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it. And then the last nonfiction one is Women Are the Future of Islam by Shireen Khan. And this is a memoir, so that immediately drew me in. I love reading memoirs. I actually have a video of 10 memoirs to read. I link it somewhere for you if you want to check it out. And I think this one is going to be interesting because the author is a pioneer. She says she's the founder of the first mosque for women in Europe. And I think this is going to give me a great insight into how it is to live as a Muslim woman in Europe. I think it looks at some controversial subjects, and like divorce, and how is women's life within Islam, which is such a patriarchal society. So I can't wait to get to this. Next, I have 3 Penguin modern classics in this beautiful, really light green, bluish green edition with these beautiful covers. And I picked these 3 specifically because these are by women authors, and I've never heard of these. So these are like kind of forgotten classics Penguin publishes or republished. Correct me if I'm wrong. I clearly haven't done my research. But if we take the first one, and I have absolutely no idea who these authors are or what these books are, but when I picked them up and I read the back, I was immediately intrigued. They're also pretty short. So I have the first one called After Midnight by, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this last name, but is Irmgard Keun. I think it's a German name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is interesting because I really love the premise. It says 19-year-old Sana just wants to drink her beer in peace, but that is difficult when Hitler has come to town and his motorcade is blocking the streets of Frankfurt. So I don't even need to read more of that premise, but it sounds really intriguing. Then I have one called Woman by Sibilla Aleramo. I think this is Italian. This is kind of an autobiographical one, and it is about the life for a woman in Italy at the dawn of the 20th century. It says it is a landmark in European feminist writing, so why not? And then the last one is actually, I think, a dystopian one. It is Ice by Anna Kavan. And this one, it says here, no one knows why the ice has come and no one can stop it. Every day, it creeps further across the earth, covering the land in snow and freezing everything in its path. There you go. This is perfect for winter, so why not? And then I have 4 more here. And one, I don't think I need to introduce a lot because it is Daphne du Maurier's My Cousin Rachel. So I think slowly I want to get through all of Daphne du Maurier's books. And I was actually planning to read this, to read this in December, but then the movie Rebecca came out on Netflix, and I really want to read Rebecca because I want to watch that movie. So Rebecca, and then afterwards I'm gonna get to My Cousin Rachel. I actually don't know a lot about this, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be awesome. I mean, it's Daphne du Maurier. And I don't know how I don't know anything about this, but I think that's the way I want to get into this. Then I have a pretty battered copy of 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I've seen this in a Red Cross shop, and I mean, oh my god, it's so battered. I mean, this was love, this was red. And I think I'm gonna read it and just release it into the world again, as in take it back to Red Cross. But I've been planning to read Khaled Hosseini. I've been wanting to read both this book and The Kite Runner. I think they're pretty known books, and I think these are the books even people who don't normally read have heard about and read. So this one is about Miriam who marries when she's really young, and then she goes to live in Kabul, and then some years later she befriends another woman, and then throughout their lives, and what we also learn about the history and the current events in this country, which is Afghanistan. So I think that's going to be a pretty good one, and I think these are amazing stories. So excited to get to this. Then I picked up a book by an author I've been meaning to read because I keep hearing about her books over and over again and how they're kind of a must. And it is What I Loved by Siri Hustvedt. So I don't know a lot about these authors, but as I said, their books keep popping up on my radar and her name keeps popping up. So I want to give one of her books at least a try. I just happened to find this one in a secondhand shop. I just picked it up. And apparently this is about two men who become friends in the 1970s in New York. It is about their wives and it is about their sons who are born in the same day, same year, something like that. This is kind of, it says in the bag that it's kind of a love story, but also a mystery or a thriller. So it's a mix of different things. So I think it's going to be a good one. And if it is, I'm definitely going to get into this author a bit more because I think she has a lot of books out, if I'm not mistaken. And then the last one is one which again needs no introduction, especially if you watch BookTube, because I think this was on the TBR of every BookTuber almost in 2020. And it's also one which kind of won awards. Anyway, it got a lot of publicity and a lot of rave reviews on BookTube, but also on other media, I believe. So it is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. And this is about two sisters, one of which can pass as white, and how their lives differ because of this. So this one, I think, follows these women throughout multiple years, decades. And it follows them from the deep south to California. It's from the 50s to the 90s. I think it's a beautiful generational story, and it's a story about race. And I think after reading so much non-fiction about race, it's going to be great to pick up a fiction on the same subject, especially because I think the story of these two sisters is going to be pretty exceptional and also kind of heartbreaking. So these are all the books I picked up, and now that I've run through all of them, I kind of want to read all of them in a way, I don't know. But if I would have to pick three, then I would say I would be most interested in Vanishing Half. Then somehow that book with the ice, it sounds really, really interesting also because it's kind of dystopian, post-apocalyptic. I don't know. I think I'm pretty into those this year. I read a couple and I just can't get enough. And it's also a great winter one. And if I have to pick a non-fiction one, then I'm gonna go with with the memoir by Sherin Khan. So let's see which of these I'm gonna read first. But what would you pick up first if you would have these books? Let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Making our Christmas memories.